Did Bitcoin truly begin a breakout out of this falling wedge that'll take us all the way up to this price target here, or is it a major fake out? We'll show you two reasons that you have to pay attention to about why this most likely could have happened and you need to be prepared. And as well, this push actually pushed Bitcoin above this 6-year structural line. Is this an actual move, or in fact is this just a fake out before a drop? Will this 9-day moving average not end up crossing below this EMA ribbon? We'll take a look at that, what the chances are. What target will Bitcoin have to hit on these prices to actually trigger a bigger price surge to the upside, because we're not there just yet. And as well, the MACD continues to actually increase on this weekly chart. Is this a sign for bullish things to come? We will take a look. And guys, huge, we actually now have filled the CME gap, which is necessary in my opinion. Pretty quickly this gets filled. What does this mean for Bitcoin's price going into the end of the week, and especially going over the next few weeks? We'll also take a look at Joseph Young's opinion on 3 technical reasons why there still could be some room to run the upside, but he does have a specific target that it could hit before it actually gets a pullback. Breakout or fake out? Let's get into the news. Wow, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to an especially episode of Bitcoin. There was a breakout earlier today, okay? We got to this certain level, but specifically we are finding some resistance at one of the 2 major levels of resistance that we've been finding for weeks and weeks and weeks. So we have to talk about if that's a good thing, a bad thing. Is this actually just a fake out? And there's something so important that many of you do know, but if you're newer to the space, this has only been happening for a few years, ever since the end of 2017, I believe November of 2017. This happens very often. It has to do with futures trading. It has to do with being able to short and long Bitcoin as well. So we really have to talk about this because it's a pattern that happens over and over and over again when it comes to breakouts. And could we be seeing the same situation happen now? And if we are, what does that mean for Bitcoin's price? Because usually we will see the reaction very quickly. So I think we will know for sure within like 24 hours if this is actually what's happening, or if it is in fact a real breakout. So we'll get into my opinions about that in this video, and specifically where I think the next moves will be. This last move was not very big, but the reason that it's interesting is because it seemingly broke out of this pattern. So that's mainly what we have to talk about in this video. And as well, since we started filming, we actually broke a little bit above this key level. So this is a perfect time to do technical analysis because it's happening live as I'm recording the video. So guys, if you're new to the channel, drop that like, comment, subscribe, turn on the dings to enter for this ledger. And without any further ado, let's hop into the TA. Wow. So guys, let's take a look on this chart first. Now this is actually interesting right now. We're pumping as I'm filming this, okay? This will be at least an hour, 2 hours until I get the video out, but this is what we're seeing right now. We're actually crossing above the 9-day moving average, which could reverse this signal. Remember we said yesterday we could confirm it's going to have a breakdown if this 9-day moving average starts slicing through this EMA ribbon. That was one of the indicators that we talked about heavily in yesterday's video. We said it's not confirmed yet, but if we see this 9-day start slicing below this, then that's a very good indication that we'll get a nice pullback. Now, currently we're actually slightly above this as I'm filming this, and to be above it right now, the price has to be around 9,200 US dollars, which is currently where Bitcoin's price is. So very interesting. Seemingly as well, over the past 3 days, we got a bounce on this line. Now you see it here, come down here, and we're getting that bounce. Now, I think it's very important that if this is a true breakout, it has to meet a few certain criteria. So that's what we're going to be talking about primarily. For one thing, something I've been saying for a long time is we don't want to spend too much time playing around with this blue line here. This is a very long-term trend line when we're looking at these smaller time frames on this chart. This just coincides with these very long-term patterns here. So we've been playing with this line for, ever since April 29th. We broke above it, came back down, then on May 10th, went below it. Then it took a few days, got above it, came back down on May 20th. We've been playing around for like the past week there. So I personally don't think we want to spend too much more time playing around with this line. It's a big factor in determining the overall strength of the market, I think. Okay, this is not something to shake your head at, okay? This is a line that's pretty important. So I just zoom back to show you how, look at that, guys. It just keeps going back. It goes back for like ever. So let's zoom back into like the few months we can see on the chart when we get in zoomed in like this. Right now, we are doing this. Now, one thing I do really want to note is the $9,300 is a crucial area. Now, to sum it up, okay, I'm going to state this pretty important at first. I think that we could end up seeing this pump go all the way to 9,300, but I don't think that we'll go much higher than that unless these two other things happen. So that's primarily also what we're going to be talking about here. So let's take a look at this chart now. So actually we're getting pushed down a little bit, since I started the video right about here, then I did the intro and it was right about here, and now the intro is over and I've been talking for a minute or two, and now it's back down here. So one of the reasons this is huge is because this orange line we talked about heavily in yesterday's video, as well as this line, which is right where we got that bounce. The pump started right at this line and went all the way up to this line. Now, it's been holding there for a little bit. I can switch to a smaller time frame so you can see how many hours it's kind of been getting rejected there. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now the 6th hour here is actually trying to get back above it. Again, this is a crucial level. This is the $9,200 level, and this is the $8,800 level, which are support and resistance going back pretty far, pretty substantial levels, specifically over the past year. So that's why we're watching those. But even more importantly, ever since the end of April, this has been a very tight area that Bitcoin's been fluctuating in, finding support, finding little bounces, and then falling below it, finding resistance, finding bounces above it. So overall, one of the first things, out of the two things, one of the first things that need to happen if this is an actual breakout, because the breakout target is actually all the way up here for this. If this is a falling wedge, the breakout target is all the way up here, okay? And actually, before we do that, let's show you what that would look like on a longer term chart. Where that breakout would be on this longer term chart, okay, we take this falling wedge and we transpose that breakout target over to this longer term chart. You can see the breakout target, actually that's a little high, it's right about here. The breakout target would be here, which is important because if we take a look and zoom out, this is a much longer term chart, guys. This would be breaking above this, which would be, if we got that breakout target, which would be the most substantial breakout of this 2.5 year descending line of resistance since June 28th of 2019. So basically about a year, this would be the biggest move above this long-term resistance in the past year. So if this actually is a true breakout, then this is actually really exciting if it is a breakout. But that's why I'm a little hesitant right now, because on one end, if this is a true breakout and we get it, this is really bullish for the space, I think, especially even short term over the next 30 days. But if we get a rejection here, which I think is more likely, then we'll have to get those pullback levels we talked about a lot in yesterday's video, and then we're going to be talking about today as well. But again, basically, I'll draw like a rough with this falling wedge. That's really bad. A rough view of it on this chart, but it would be like up to here. This would be the breakout target, okay? So we'll go back to this chart. One of the main things we have to do is obviously break 92, and 93 is a huge reason that you don't see on this chart. Okay, it's not on this chart why 93 is huge. It's actually according to some shorts and long data that we're going to be getting into in a little bit here, because we got to take that into account as well. And guys, the last thing I want to say about this chart specifically is yesterday I said falling wedges have a 60% chance to break to the upside, but I said that I thought it was a higher percent chance it was going to break down. Now, that sounds a little bad because my wording was really bad, but I want to actually rephrase it like this. Falling wedges without any other context break up 2/3 of the time as a pattern as a whole. But what I was saying is, in this context, with everything else going on in all of these other charts, including what we just faced, resistance up here, I thought that it was less likely that Bitcoin was going to have a break up to this target here. Actually, and the last thing I want to say about these patterns is specifically with wedges and pennants, one of the things that I've noticed a lot over the last year is that when we have breakouts, very often we get a false breakout and we swing very strongly to the other side. This happens pretty often here. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that is something I want to get into in this article in regards to the shorts and the longs. So basically, I'll sum it up a little here and then I'll go into more detail. When everybody is expecting the market to go down, okay, so when people are shorting the market, one of the ways that there is a little corruption, a little bit of manipulation in this market is whether it's exchanges or whales or both. Very often what happens is they will swing the price one certain direction that a lot of people aren't expecting. So those people that are expecting it to go a certain way get liquidated, okay? And then usually the price does end up going the way that the technicals think it'll go. But the reason it has a wild swing in the one direction is because people make a lot of money manipulating the market and shorting the market, or at least liquidating people that way. Exchanges make a lot of money and whales can make a lot of money. So this pattern, even though this is a bullish setup without any other context, overall, after testing 10K like weeks and weeks up here, I think obviously the momentum is shifting down a little bit, especially on some of these other time frames it's showing that. But specifically, one of the reasons we see that is because this shakes out some people, it liquidates some people who are expecting the price to go down, okay? So they lose their positions, they make money this way, and then the price ends up kind of doing what it almost looks like it should do. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Just because it looks like it's going down doesn't mean that there's not going to be a big spike up and then it'll go down, because a lot of the times that's exactly what happens. The market is never as simple as, okay, look, a falling wedge, this usually breaks up, it's going to break up. Okay, it's never that simple. If it was that simple, then everybody would be a pro trader, because you can just Google a falling wedge. And that's just why I said you have to include context with a lot of different things. So as well on this chart, you can see we actually haven't gotten quite up to the 21-day moving average, which is this blue line. We're in between the 50 and the 21-day moving average, okay? The 21 is all the way up here, right around 9,300 US dollars. And that's another thing, another reason I think over today we might end up getting actually to 93, even going to 94 in the short term before getting a rejection there. So I definitely think we could still have a little more room to the upside before getting pushed down. Now, before we continue on other stuff, guys, we did actually fill the CME gap. The gap was pretty small. It was between like 92 and 90.70. Actually, let's see, 9,070 and about 91.30. So less than $100 gap, but you can see here in this 4-hour candle, we clearly filled that. So we did fill this gap here. So as you can see on a lot of these other charts, when we do end up filling the gap, momentum does usually swing the opposite direction. And as well, guys, the one thing I think everyone should be paying attention to as well, if we do get a swing up, we talked about the two reasons that this could, or two ways that this could be confirmed as a massive breakout, if we actually break above 9,600 US dollars. So 92, 9,300 is the first big confirmed level. And then 96, if that gets confirmed, then I think this entire pattern could end up actually being a true breakout, with the breakout being closer to 99, even 10,000 US dollars. So full breakout of this pattern would be about 9,900 or about 10,000. But if we break above 96, then I think that would be a really good confirmation that that pattern might actually play out. But currently we haven't broken either of those levels. 93 or high 9200s, about 93, and then the second one being 96. This 96 has proven to be insanely hard resistance, especially over the past 3 weeks. We haven't had a candle close above it once. The last time we had a candle close above 9,300 was February 17th, the week of February 17th, 2020. So it's been a long time. You can see we spent 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks trying to close inside of this and we couldn't. So on the weekly scale, this is much more important. If we can actually get this pattern on the daily to break above and close around 96 or 97, or at least get back into it, then that could mean a much larger time frame swing to the upside on these charts here. Wow, so this gets into more detail about all this kind of stuff. Bitcoin retakes 9,000 US dollars. 3 technical reasons there's still some room. Now, this is not a very bullish article, but it does say that there is some market data showing there could be a surge up to $9,300 to $9,400 in the very short term. According to a cryptocurrency trader known as Crypto ISO, the liquidation range of 25x to 50x shorts filled in the high 8,000s is at around 9,300. 9,300 resistance level is a sufficient liquidity, which gives whales incentive to bring up the price of Bitcoin above it. Says here, he's quoted here as saying, Crypto ISO is quoted here as saying, 92.98 is 25x liquidation, 93.36 is 50x around the throwback channel line in fib zone. Price ran most of the liquidations down today. Maybe it shoots for topside liquidity before further distribution. And as well, guys, this is huge news. Goldman is having a client call, and one of the topics is Bitcoin today, as of May 27th. That's happening today, I believe. In April, when the rally of Bitcoin went from 7,000 to 10,000, it was primarily led by spot market. The futures market had less of an impact. However, the open interest on BitMEX, OKX, and Binance futures recovered. It indicates more traders are now active in futures as opposed to spot trading. As such, futures data such as liquidation ranges and funding rates can have a bigger effect on the price trend of Bitcoin than it did previously when we were talking about spot exchanges a lot a few weeks ago. Now, this is huge. Goldman Sachs is having a client call today with Bitcoin, gold, and inflation. Obviously, as everybody knows, the climate right now of the economy and of the US dollar and everything going on with the printing of that, it may increase exposure of high net worth individuals to Bitcoin over the medium to long term. He also states here it probably won't have any effect at all, like over the next week. This is a more long-term thing, just getting more institutional investors potentially interested in buying Bitcoin. But here it says the price of Bitcoin going up based on news is more likely to be whales using the narrative to trigger a minor rally to a liquidity area at around 93. So again, this perfectly lines up with what I've been saying. It's very likely that this could be, like a little fake out to liquidate some people who are in trades right now. Very likely. So, think about it. If you had the ability ability to do something like that, you could make more money if everybody's expecting a certain move and you're able to push the price to a certain move to liquidate a lot of those people, and then the price could kind of do what it looks like it wants to do, which is go down for right now. It also indicates here that a large number of traders are shorting Bitcoin and possibly trapped in underwater short positions. Exactly the scenario here. That increases probability of a short squeeze to about 93 to 94. So basically, like I said, 93 could be broken today, 94 as well. But specifically, I'm not going to get too excited about this move, and this is where I think a lot of people should as well. I'm not going to get too excited about this move until we would potentially break like 9600 US dollars. So 96 is the big area. If we see this go all the way up here, again, the full breakout's a substantial amount higher than that. So if we get all the way to about here, when the full breakout is here, if we get here, then I think that's a time to get excited about the move. We're still like $200 or $300 away from that right now. And again, as I'm filming, we're still getting that small rejection here. But like I said, I expect we could see 93 to even 94 today before getting a further rejection. But if the scenario happens where we go up to 93, 94, and then continue to 96, then it's time to get a little excited. The low funding rate, minor fear of missing out around the Goldman Sachs call in the liquidation zone of around 93 may lead to a small upsurge of Bitcoin's price. So guys, do you agree with the analysis? Do you think this is a full-fledged breakout? Or do you think this is just a big fake out, which is what I'm definitely tending to lean more towards? Overall, in these higher time frames, Bitcoin does look like it does want to have a little bit of a correction, and there's nothing on these higher time frames yet that indicates that Bitcoin is actually going to pump this week. If we break the key level of 9,600 US dollars, then that's where I get excited. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to drop your comment to enter for these ledgers. And as well, guys, if you want to learn some awesome TA, specifically the tips and tricks that I use in full detail in this course, and we're still adding courses every single month. We're going to be adding a lot more courses. Specifically, we added trading and stuff, guys. If you're interested in that, definitely make sure to take advantage of this. And there's a coupon code for $35 off in the description if you're interested. Guys, very cool. And again, thanks everyone so much for purchasing. I've heard a lot of feedback from you guys emailing me. I actually have some emails right now, it looks like, so I'll have to get into that and read some of those. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. Peace.